Yeah, any golf lover would say this is one of the best places in the world if they've been here, and I think I said it in previous years, but the fact that you get paid to play this course and don't have to pay to play this course is a nice benefit this week. And the fact that it's an elevated event, I'm extremely excited about. I think the idea that you could have a few guys and three to eight guys in the world's kind of top 10, 15 coming down the stretch at Pebble Beach, regardless of the conditions, would be something that would be very exciting to watch. And other than the U.S. Open, that hasn't really been possible in this event. So I think the field this week will make it possibly the best AT&T yet, and I'm extremely excited about that. It looks like it'll be unfortunate with the weather for a couple days, but you kind of got to hang in there, and Sunday looks like the worst of it. So as long as you're anywhere near it, you'll have a chance on Sunday.
And before questions, you finished solo third in Maui. Just talk a little bit about the state of your game now coming into the week.
Yeah, I was excited to get off to a good start. The fact that the season technically, FedEx season started in Maui makes me feel really good about a solid finish. I kind of wish that I had played in the last few weeks because the weather in Texas was kind of all-time bad. But I came out to California a little early, and I've been trying to kind of get my game back to where I left it in Maui, and it feels really good. It's just a matter of going out and executing now. But yeah, I'm excited about what this season, can be for me. I feel like when I was in Maui, I felt like when I was teeing it up, I had a chance to win. I feel that way, sitting here Wednesday afternoon now, and it's a good feeling to know that if I go out and do what I feel I'm perfectly capable of doing, there's nothing holding me back right now. So just got to try to get better each week.
All right, thank you for that. We'll open it up to questions, and we'll go to Dave in the back.
Yeah, Jordan, you probably could answer this better than anyone because you've played here so many more years. But does this week have a different feel to it? Does it feel elevated, signature? And in some selfish way, are you, I'm sure you're glad to have all the top players here, but you kind of had the place to yourself a little bit too.
Yeah, I don't wish about I don't feel the latter part of that. It has a feel of it because of who I'm walking around the locker room and on the driving range and on the course seeing, and who I'm playing practice rounds with. It's a top field, and it's very cool to see that. The fact that I don't have Jake as a partner is probably the only negative, but I haven't met my partner yet, and I'm sure we'll have a good time too. It's a lot of years with Jake for a change up here, and I know he's and most of the amateurs who weren't able to come back, especially the entertainers, are bummed and are curious about what the future holds, and I don't know what that is either. But that's the only thing I'll miss is our rounds with Jake. But I think, as you mentioned, it's just the fact that the field is what it is, and we're at this place in particular. It's to highlight the best the PGA Tour has to offer around Pebble Beach is something that was a goal, and it's nice to finally be here doing it.
All right, let's go to Brody.
Jordan, in terms of the deal with SSG, as a board member, I guess, what is your expectation at this point of what that funding could create, what that might lead to in terms of the future of the tour?
Well, I think the coolest, your question being specifically about their funding, I think the coolest thing about it is the players are now owners. So not only, do they benefit with the tour, they now are equity owners, so they want to push it themselves. They want to make the product better themselves. Not that they didn't before, but you directly benefit from owning a piece. And so I think that part is maybe the coolest part of the funding. Obviously having, some big guns behind us, some backup, and the strategy that this group offers was actually something that was very important when we were looking at it. So to have, I think it's like 200 years of sports owning experience, the idea they can help navigate, our future, how content will be consumed when our next media deals are up, stuff like that. To have these partners in perpetuity is, I don't think that can be overlooked. You talk about the funding, but really the strategies that they can have in navigating that space, I think will be very important.
And I think there's been some comments, I think Max tweets on today also about kind of, hopefully this is an opportunity to make things better for fans and viewers and whatnot. And just in your personal opinion, what is something that you'd like to see done to make the game better for fans?
Well, I think stability, would be something. I mean, I think fans in general, I don't think that it's been. I'm not actually sure because I'm not a typical fan, so it's hard for me to speak on their behalf. But I would say that the idea that there's been any kind of negativity within our membership, within fan base, sponsors, whatever that may be, I hope that this starts to turn the corner and recognize that we're in a place where we could be better than we've ever been as a tour. It's the premier place to play professional golf, and these partners will help us continue to make it that way, and we'll have some impact, while the membership will still have the majority of the impact on what that can look like going forward. But the fact that it'll be collective and very upfront, very they want to talk to us. They want to know what we want to know. We want to know what they can do that as just the talent. We can only go so far just playing golf. So I think that it should be extremely positive at this point that the ship's turning, and it can only go the right way from here.
All right, let's go to Doug and then up to Cam.
Couple things, Jordan. How important is it for PIF to be involved in this whole investment?
Well, they aren't involved in this investment.
I thought the tour was still negotiating with.
What's that?
The tour is. I mean, they said they're still negotiating with PIF. So.
Sure, but this specific investment announced, they aren't a part of while we're still. Yeah, while the tour and SSG are both still in conversations about how they could going forward.
How important is it for them to be involved, to be part of it?
I think it just depends. I think from where I sit, which is hopefully representing our entire membership, it matters how they feel about the entire situation. And then, at this point, if the PIF were interested in coming in on terms that our members like and are the economic terms at or are not beyond SSG's, and they feel it would be a good idea, then I think that's where the discussions will start. But it's going to be, I think the idea is that I understand it could take some time to even come to those kind of terms, and then beyond that, the Department of Justice and a regulatory review would be intact. So it would be a timely situation, but I'm not sure of the level necessarily of the importance, because it'll be up to our members to figure that out.
Secondly, Rory made a comment yesterday that he doesn't think anyone at LIV wanting to come back should be punished, and I just wanted to see if you had an opinion on that.
I think that I've asked a lot of players. I've done a lot of talking with a lot of players in the last couple months. That is Rory. I saw that too. That's Rory's viewpoint. I could name some guys with the same viewpoint. I could name some guys with a totally opposite viewpoint. So it's certainly mixed on how players feel about that.
All right.
That's what I think.
All right, Cam.
Jordan, I think if you add up players, amateurs, caddies, I think there's something like 300 fewer people out there. JT said the speed of the practice round was much better. Was wondering what other changes you've felt so far compared to a normal Pebble Beach tournament here.
I think it has. Honestly, it has a little less Bing Crosby to it. It was fun and unique in the way that it was, but it has the feel of closer to a major championship. And so I think it'll depend on what people that are not me want to do going forward with this event. But this week it feels more like a golfer's major championship type feel. The fact that you can add in and still make it a Pro-Am at 2, hopefully those amateurs feel they had a similar or even better experience. But yeah, it's a lot less people, and without the entertainment stuff, it certainly has a different feel in that regard off the course. On the course, I'm only seeing, I'm playing practice rounds with guys who played the U.S. Open here, and that's the last time they were here. And it's pretty cool to see them out here. So it's, again, there's just different ways of looking at it. Depending on who you are, maybe you like this way, maybe you don't. On course, it feels like a major, and off the course, it feels a little less like, the old Bing Crosby that it is.
All right, let's go back to Brody.
Similarly, in your just overall golf opinion, I mean, what makes a good tournament to you? How much is it, wanting certain classic courses, or how much is it relation to par and score, or having the best players? Like, what are the most important things to you, and what makes a great tournament?
I think, it's a combination of the players, the course setup. That's probably, that's what makes a great tournament. Players, course setup.
All right, back to Doug, and then we'll go to Alex.
Where did you play today?
I played a back 9 at Pebble.
Anything stand out? Not so much in birdies and bogeys, but any kind of club selections and
Birdies. Have you looked outside? We played a par game today. The rough has been taken in on quite a few holes, more so than usual. The biggest change that's extremely noticeable is number 6. Even in the U.S. Open, there was no rough down the right side, at least as far as I can remember, and it's cut in quite a bit, which will be, if you miss the fairway to the right now, but you're not in the hazard, you're just in the right rough, you'll have a pretty difficult decision trying to hit up that cliff, or you lay it back. That's probably the biggest difference, is the narrowing of the fairways. Everything else seems pretty much the same.
What about, I was curious about just the wind and what it was like today, 17 as an example.
Well, I hit 3-wood into number 10.
Is that unusual?
It's highly unusual. It's normally like a 8-iron or 9-iron. And then 17 was like a rip 5-iron. I hit the grandstands. But then I hit, 7-iron into 18 and hit 4-iron into 14 and had a chip wedge, into 15. So it just, the wind is everything out here. It is Pebble Beach links. The wind makes the tournament, and if it gets wet like it's going to, and then the wind is down, the only defense will be the greens. But you should look for some low scores pre-Sunday before the wind picks up.
Let's go to Alex.
Jordan, on June 6th, when they announced the framework agreement, the understanding was there would be a possible PIF deal in that situation, and they were talking $300 million or somewhere around in that neighborhood. Now that you got $1.5 billion and another $1.5 billion possibly in your pocket if you guys want it, why do you need to do the PIF deal?
I don't think that it's needed. I think the positive would be a unification, but I think that, like I mentioned before, I just think it's something that is almost not even worth talking about right this second, given how timely everything would be to try to get it figured out. But the idea is that we have a strategic partner that allows the PGA Tour to go forward the way that it's operating right now without anything else, with the option of other investors, whether them or somebody else. That'll just be a decision with them obviously being, the active talks. But I think the short answer is we don't have to. And I think the long answer is the positive there is a unification. But like I've mentioned earlier, we have members that feel strongly on both sides. And so until that would be able to be solved, and that would be number 10 on the list of 10 things, despite any government interference on what they've talked about being a lengthy process, it would be a situation that we should try to have, but I'm not sure, if or how or when it would get done.
All right, Jordan Spieth is bullish, says this new deal with SSG gives the PGA Tour and this new entity a chance to succeed. Paul, I want to address it. It came up in that press conference. Rory McIlroy, he was, fighting the fight for a long time, and now he seems to have just said, come on in. You guys, welcome back, Rahm, Koepka, anybody else. What's your take on Rory's turn in all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jordan answered the question well there, saying, some people agree with him, but, most don't. I think that's for the PGA Tours to decide. And more than anything, though, Rich, it's the same when it comes to Ryder Cup eligibility. This is high-level negotiation. And when you're dealing with the Saudis and dealing with the PIF, you obviously want, to get the best side of any negotiation possible. And any leverage you have, which includes potential penalties or potential Ryder Cup availability, should all be part of these negotiations. Well, we'll give you this, but this is what's got to come in return. These, you don't hand it over on day one before the negotiations are concluded. It should be part of a good, strong negotiation strategy. And again, I'll go back to one of the real important things that's happened here today. It's that we have some serious players in the sport of golf and the business of sport, and coming into golf now and acting with the PGA Tour to negotiate with the Saudis. So, the PGA Tour is in a strong position now to take advantage and use that kind of leverage as much as they can.
Rory, it seemed just sort of read the situation, a couple of months ago, and saw which way it was going. Get on board with the winning side, probably. But to the question that was asked late to Jordan, if you've got upwards of $3 billion coming your way, why do you need the public investment?
And I like the way he answered it.
Unification.
Unification is the only reason. You don't necessarily need them now. Of course, you would like for them not to poach your players anymore. But I think as a player, I think we were all a bit concerned with the deal with PIF that it would mean basically Saudi Arabia is buying the PGA Tour. And I think given the valuation of the tour being just under 14 million, billion, SSG's 3 billion in, I think now we have cleared the slate. So if PIF comes in, they will be a minority investor just like SSG.